Okay, how's everyone doing? So back in June, I had the opportunity to preach out at a church in British Columbia, and so I preached on Revelation 14, and I thought I'd take some of the things that I talked about in this sermon and make them into a couple short YouTube videos. So if you're not subscribed, I post videos like this every single week. If that's something that interests you, hit the subscribe button, but yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the verses that we're looking at today in Revelation 14 are verses 6 and 7. So here's what they say. Then I saw another angel flying directly overhead with an eternal gospel to proclaim to those who dwell on earth, to every nation and tribe and language and people. And he said with a loud voice, "Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea and the springs of water." So the idea that I want to unpack here is the idea that God's judgment is eternal good news, an eternal gospel. But the problem is that may be really difficult for us to wrap our minds around and to understand the fact that the judgment of God, and Revelation 14 provides a fairly gruesome depiction of God's judgment on that day when Jesus returns to make everything right. And it's honestly hard to imagine how this could be a good thing. But here's the thing, God's judgment is about bringing restoration to creation. And we want this, we crave this. We see all the terrible things going on in the world and we long for justice to prevail. God's coming to make things right and to bring restoration to his creation. And that means dealing with sin once and for all. And if we're living a life where we're pushing God away and just indulging all of our desires, living a life of sin and idolatry, this judgment isn't going to be pretty. But ultimately, it is good news. If we trust God, if we're trusting his plan, this is what we're waiting for. In Jesus, God offers us a way not to have to face the judgment that we deserve. He sent Jesus to die on the cross for our sins and be raised to life 3 days later, so that if we have faith in him, we can actually be a part of this redeemed creation. Because here's the thing, I want to highlight the ways in which God's judgment truly is good news, because I think that we miss this sometimes. So we can't miss the fact that there is a choice that we have to make, and this choice will have eternal consequences. One choice is to align ourselves with the things of this world. But we're reminded in the book of Revelation that the things of this world, the evil systems that we've built up, they will crumble. And the other option, the other choice is to choose Jesus, to trust Jesus, to choose to follow him, to stand firm and not give in to the temptation of that other choice. And I think that at the end of the day, one of my biggest takeaways from reading through the book of Revelation is the idea that I know what side I want to be on when God's judgment and restoration come fully. Because it's great news. Knowing the ways of our world, God's creation, his people are going to be redeemed and restored. But man, these images in the book of Revelation are terrifying if we're caught up in the things of this world, worshiping power, wealth, sexual immorality, whatever it may be. So quick recap, our big idea here is that God's judgment is eternal good news. Even if it doesn't seem like it, even if there's some pretty gruesome pictures in the book of Revelation. It's God bringing restoration to his creation, which is what we long for at the end of the day. But there is a choice that we have to make. And I think Revelation does a good job of giving us a picture of what the consequences are for that choice. So yeah, that's all I have for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.